Teachers, what's the most jaw-dropping excuse a student has given for missing homework? So, I used to teach ninth grade English at a public school where the students were either absolute angels or straight-up chaos goblins with no in-between. One Monday morning, I was doing my usual routine standing at the door with my "Good morning guys, homework out" fake smile while internally reviewing all the life choices that led me to grading essays at 1 a.m. on weekends. That's when Elias walked in. And look, I need you to understand something about Elias. He was that weird combination of brilliant and deeply unserious. Like the kid could explain quantum tunneling, but also once stapled his tie to his shirt because he didn't feel like dealing with knots today. A wild card, a feral academic prodigy. He slouches into class trying to look invisible, which is already a bad sign. No folder, no binder, no Chromebook, just vibes. I stop him. Elias homework. He closes his eyes the way a man does right before pulling the pin on a grenade. Then he launches into the single wildest excuse I have ever heard in my entire teaching career. Okay, so Miss Carter, it's actually kind of complicated and like possibly a federal issue now. I blink. Hard. A what? He sighs dramatically like he's about to confess to burying treasure. Someone from the government stole my homework. The entire class goes silent. Dead silent. 28 teenagers froze like the buffering symbol just hit them. I'm like, Elias, no. He goes, I swear. The actual federal government. The United States won. Like secret agent type black SUV and everything. The class collectively leans in like this is Netflix and he's hitting next episode. At this point, I'm torn between shutting him down or letting this train wreck continue, because honestly, I needed the entertainment. So I tell him, explain, and this child proceeds to retell the following story with absolute Oscar-worthy sincerity. He says he was on his way home Friday afternoon when a black SUV with tinted windows slowed down next to him. A guy in a suit got out. According to Elias, the guy flashed a badge. So fast I couldn't read it, but it definitely had an eagle on it. The agent asked him if he was Elias R. from Ms. Carter's third period English class. Elias says yes, obviously. Then the agent supposedly asks him if he had finished the homework assignment where they had to write a personal narrative about a formative childhood memory. Elias pulls it out of his backpack. The agent takes the paper, skims it, and immediately gets all intense and whispery. He asks Elias if he understands that the information in this essay could potentially destabilize diplomatic relations. The class gasps. Someone whispers, "What the hell did you write?" Elias shrugs like he's annoyed this keeps happening. He says the agent asked if he had any copies. He didn't. Then the agent folded the homework, tucked it into his suit jacket, handed Elias a business card, which he lost in a sewer grate, and told him he would be contacted if further information was required. Then the SUV sped off. He finishes the story by saying, "So yeah, that's why I don't have the homework, national security reasons." I stare at him. He stares back with the unblinking confidence of someone who has never faced consequences. Finally, I ask, "Elias, what was your essay about?" He goes, "I wrote about the time I tried to microwave a fork." The class absolutely loses it. Kids are wheezing. Someone falls out of a chair. A girl has tears streaming down her face. I'm standing there trying to combine every cell of my teacher brain to form a response that isn't, "What the actual hell are you talking about?" Instead, I manage, "So, you're saying the government confiscated your homework because you microwaved a fork in the third grade?" He nods very seriously. "It created a situation." "What situation?" He leans in and whispers like we're in on a conspiracy thriller. "The lights flickered in my whole neighborhood, and 3 houses down the Martinez's TV has never worked the same. Miss Carter, the fork incident changed things. I nearly quit teaching right then and there." In the end, he still had to redo the assignment, and he did. Another essay about how he once fed a goldfish a Pop-Tart. Less of a national security breach, apparently. But to this day, whenever teachers talk about ridiculous homework excuses, I win. Because unless someone comes in claiming the CIA kidnapped their paragraph on my most memorable summer, I don't think this one is ever getting topped. Okay, so I've been teaching ninth grade English for almost a decade, which means I've heard every flavor of my dog ate it. I left it in my mom's car. I swear I did it, but the universe hates me. And I didn't know it was due even though it's been written on the board for 3 weeks in neon orange. But this one destroyed me. Like actually spiritually disassembled me. I still think about it when I'm doing dishes. So picture it. It's a Monday morning. Rainy. Kids shuffling in like wet raccoons. I'm under-caffeinated. They're over-dramatic. The usual. Homework due. A simple 2-page character study from To Kill a Mockingbird. Most kids turned it in. Some didn't. Fine. I get to him. Let's call him Derek. Derek is a character. He's like if chaotic energy and sleep deprivation had a child. He never outright misbehaves. He just lives in a personal alternate reality where nothing is ever his responsibility, but he somehow believes wholeheartedly in his own innocence. So I ask Derek, "Where's your homework?" He freezes. Like actually freezes eyes, wide hands, gripping the desk like it's the last ship off a sinking island. Then he takes a breath so deep I thought he was about to pass out. "Okay," he says, You're not gonna believe me." Which is a great opening line when someone is clearly about to tell you a lie. I lean on the desk. "Try me." And he begins the excuse. So my aunt has this ferret, right? Already a terrible start. And the ferret is like obsessed with wires and socks and eating things it shouldn't. I nod because honestly, this does sound like a ferret. But yesterday, he continues, we had a family emergency. My cousin's hamster, Mr. Pickles, escaped his cage. And he's not just fast, he's like fast like trauma. The class is already turning in their seats. So we're all chasing Mr. Pickles around the living room, right? Me, my aunt, my grandma, the ferret. Well, the ferret's not supposed to be chasing him, but he just eased chaos everywhere. My grandma slipped on a Lego. My aunt knocked over a lamp. The dog is screaming. My uncle is yelling that he didn't sign up for this. I'm blinking very hard at this point. So I put my homework on the coffee table so I wouldn't crumple it while I helped, and then… He pauses. He looks at me with the seriousness of a man about to confess to war crimes. The ferret ate it. I give him the teacher look TM. He shakes his head harder, both hands up. No, like actually ate it. Not like the dog excused the ferret ate the entire thing. He swallowed it like whole sheets. My aunt had to grab him, and he started sprinting around the house like a sock thief on bath salts. And then he ran under the couch and refused to come out. I'm trying very hard not to laugh, but he isn't done. So then, he says, pointing upward, like this story has chapters now. He finally comes out and he throws up. The room goes utterly silent, and my homework was in it. Someone in the back whispers, "Bro, what?" It was unreadable. Derek says, eyes wild, like biblical destruction, like plague-level damage, like if Moses himself came down and decided my homework needed smiting. There is a long moment, and then he looks at me with this broken sincerity and whispers, "Do you want pictures?" The class screams. My soul leaves my body. I actually had to turn around because tears were forming. So I tell him, "Derek, please do not show me ferret vomit photos." He nods solemnly, like I just told him to bury a secret. "I just wanted you to know I really did it." He says softly, "I did the assignment. The ferret just consumed it spiritually." The aftermath. I gave him a 24-hour extension because honestly, if he lied, it was a masterpiece. If he told the truth, he'd suffered enough emotional damage to last the week. The next day, he turns in his homework and stapled to the back, I swear on everything good in this world, was a note from his aunt that said, "The ferret did indeed eat his English homework. I am so sorry, please don't call CPS. I never recovered." To this day, I can't assign homework without mentally whispering, "Beware the ferret." Okay, so let me preface this by saying I teach 7th graders. That means every day is like being trapped inside a YouTube Kids video written by writers who were paid in expired gummy worms. I've heard excuses ranging from, "My baby cousin used it as toilet paper," to "I hallucinated the entire assignment." But nothing, and I mean nothing, comes close to what one particular kid Marcus told me last year. Picture this, it's a Monday raining. Everyone is half asleep. I'm mentally preparing myself for grading a stack of essays that are 80% ChatGPT and 20% what I assume is keyboard smashing. And of course, it's the day their mythology project is due. This isn't a little worksheet, no. This thing was a 3-week major assignment, counts for like half your grade type deal. Posters, written report presentation, the whole educational trauma package. So they're turning stuff in. One kid hands me a masterpiece that definitely his mom stayed up until 2 a.m. finishing. Someone else gives me something printed in Comic Sans normal stuff. But then I get to Marcus. Sweet, weird, unpredictable Marcus. This kid approaches me like he's about to confess to a murder. Eyes wide, breathing hard, shirt slightly untucked, like he just escaped a small house fire. Ms. V, I don't have my project. This isn't shocking because of course he doesn't. Marcus is the kind of kid who once forgot his backpack at school for 4 days and didn't notice because it wasn't bothering me. So I asked the routine question, okay, why not? Now usually kids give excuses that are half-baked lies, like when they tell me the internet was down, even though they completed 14 levels of Fortnite that same night. But not Marcus. Marcus steps closer, lowers his voice to a whisper, and delivers this Oscar-winning monologue. Okay, so I swear this is real, but my family thinks our house is haunted, mostly by this demon cat, and yesterday it stole my project. And I just blink at him because demon cat, a demon cat. Before I can even respond, he plows forward like a man possessed. See Ms. V, it only shows up when someone in the house is stressed. And I was really stressed finishing the assignment because my printer jammed and my mom said the Wi-Fi demon was acting up again, and then my baby sister threw yogurt at my face. But that's when it came. I'm standing there thinking, this is either the best fiction I've ever heard from a 7th grader, or I actually need to call CPS. He continues. I was taping the poster together and suddenly I heard scratching from under the couch, and the couch started vibrating. At this point, the entire class goes dead silent, listening like they're binge-watching a Netflix thriller. Then the cat crawled out, except it wasn't like normal cat-sized, it was like toddler-sized, and it had glowing red eyes, and it growled at me, like full-on demon growl. He even demonstrates it. Loudly, kids in the back jump, and I froze, because this thing is cursed or something, and then it sprinted at me, grabbed the poster in its mouth, dragged it into the hallway, and disappeared into a shadow portal. A shadow portal. A shadow portal. He said this with the facial expression of someone giving sworn testimony in court. At this point, the whole class is invested. Kids are leaning forward, pupils' dilated snacks slowly raised to their lips like they're watching peak TV drama. One kid whispers, "Bros living in Stranger Things." Marcus just keeps going. My mom tried to get a priest, but he was on vacation, so my dad bought like 4 air fresheners because he says demons hate things that smell fresh. But I didn't want to tell you until today because I was trying to build a demon trap, but it didn't work, and now my project is in hell or cat hell or whatever. I swear I had to turn around because I was about to laugh so hard I'd pull a muscle. But this boy was so serious. Like he genuinely believed a demonic entity stole his homework. He was traumatized by this imaginary feline of darkness. So I asked, still facing the whiteboard, to keep a straight face, "Marcus, are you saying your homework was eaten by a demon cat?" And he goes, "No, I'm saying it was abducted. I couldn't do it. I couldn't even pretend anymore. The class lost it." One girl snorted so loud she scared herself. Another kid had tears streaming down his face. Someone whispered, "This is why we need cameras in his house." I ended up giving Marcus an extension because honestly, the creativity alone deserved a passing grade. That kid is going to be a novelist someday, or a cult leader, or a conspiracy theorist with his own YouTube channel. Maybe all 3. And here's the kicker. The next day, he brought in the project. Perfect condition tape, still fresh, poster crisp, which means he either A, did the whole thing overnight fueled purely by demon cat adrenaline, or B, lead so confidently he convinced himself it was true and then got kidnapped by responsibility. Anyway, best excuse I've ever heard, nothing will ever beat. Sorry, Ms. V, a demon cat stole my homework through a shadow portal. I still tell that story at staff meetings. The new teachers never believe me. Okay, so I've been teaching 9th grade English for 12 years, and I thought I had heard every possible excuse for missing homework. Dead hamsters, printer exploded, grandma died 3 times. I left it in my mom's boyfriend's truck, but then they broke up mid-drive and he kicked her out on the highway with my worksheet still in the glove compartment. You know the classics, but nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for Elias. Elias is one of those kids who looks like he was born tired of everyone. Hood-up headphones constantly half-on, speaks only in sarcastic one-liners, but ironically gets straight A's without trying, like he's the final evolution of the gifted kid who hates authority. Anyway, I'm collecting homework for our quarterly personal narrative assignment. Everyone's grudgingly turning it in, except Elias, who just sits there casually vibing as if we aren't literally at the finish line of a 6-week project. I walk over Elias, I say, "Where's your narrative?" He takes out one earbud, blinks slowly, then goes, "Yeah, about that." Already, I know I'm about to hear something unhinged. I tell him, "This assignment is 15% of your grade, so whatever your reason is, it better be good." He inhales like he's preparing to deliver a TED Talk. "Okay," he says, "but I need you to keep an open mind." Never a good sign. Then with the confidence of a man about to lie on national television, he starts, "Yesterday morning, I woke up to the sound of my mom screaming because everything in our kitchen was stacked in a perfect spiral on the table, like plates, mugs, cereal boxes, even the toaster, just spiraled, like aliens or ghosts or I don't know, capitalism." "Capitalism?" I ask. "Yeah, my mom says capitalism makes people do crazy stuff, so maybe it infected the house." At this point, several students have turned around in their seats to listen, but he's not done. So my mom decides the house is being haunted by capitalism and says we need to sage the whole thing, except the sage she ordered hasn't arrived because of capitalism, so she uses the next best thing, which is lemon-scented pledge. He pauses, dead serious. "My mom pledged every room in the house, the walls, the doors, the air." "So your homework is missing because your mom cleaned the ghosts?" I ask. "No," he says. "It's missing because my laptop was on the dining room table when she sprayed the ghost pledge fog, and then the laptop started making a weird sizzling sound, and then it shut off, and then it wouldn't turn back on. And then I googled it on my phone, and apparently lemon cleaner can like short-circuit your computer, which by the way feels like something the government should warn us about. But anyway, my homework was on that laptop." A pause. Students are riveted, but he keeps going. "And then my mom said, if capitalism kills your laptop, that means you were never meant to participate in it. So she took all our electronics and put them in a Rubbermaid bin outside to detox. My Chromebook is still in there, in the cold, with a humidifier next to it. My mom says the ghosts won't leave until they absorb enough moisture." I say nothing. He concludes with, "So yeah, couldn't finish the narrative. Ghost capitalism. Lemon pledge dead laptop. You get it. Normally, I'd give a 0. But this kid said all of that without laughing, completely straight-faced, like it was the weather report. And then, he pulls out his phone and shows me a picture. A real picture of a dining table covered in pledge bottles, paper towels, a humidifier, and a Rubbermaid bin containing every device he owns, plus what I swear is a Nintendo Switch cartridge floating in a puddle of condensation. This was not a lie. This was performance art. I asked him why he didn't at least handwrite something. He shrugged and said, "I was supporting my mom's anti-capitalist ghost cleansing. Also, she locked the pens in the bin too." I gave him an extension because honestly, if your homework gets sacrificed to a lemon-scented anti-capitalist exorcism, you deserve an extra day. The best part? His revised narrative assignment ended up being a 6-page masterpiece titled "The Day the Free Market Attacked My Laptop." And it was without exaggeration the best thing I graded all semester. Okay, so buckle up because this is still the most chaotic excuse I've ever heard in my entire teaching career, and I taught middle school for 11 years, which basically means my baseline for chaos is already insanely high. It happened during my 5th year. I was a 7th grade English teacher. which is basically the equivalent of trying to lecture inside a tornado full of hormones, Axe body spray, and kids who say bruh every 5 seconds. I had this one student, let's call him Damon, who was a walking plot twist. Like, this kid radiated the energy of someone who'd accidentally summoned a demon during show and tell and then asked to go to the nurse. So it's a random Tuesday. The kids are half asleep, drooling onto their desks while pretending to annotate a poem. I do the daily homework check. Damon hands me nothing. Not shocking, the kid treated homework like it personally offended him, but when I raise an eyebrow, he goes, "Oh, I actually have a really good reason." Now, normally that means I forgot, or my Wi-Fi died, or my brother stole it to draw butts on. I've heard it all. But Damon? Oh no. Damon takes a deep breath, like he's about to deliver a TED Talk. He stands up, like he's giving a eulogy, and he goes, "Okay, so my grandma joined a reptile cult last week." Silence. The entire class freezes like NPCs whose programming just crashed. I blink slowly. "A what?" "A reptile cult," he repeats. "She said they worship the ancient scaled mother. She made us all attend a meeting on Sunday. She brought snacks. It was kinda chill. The class is locked in. You could hear a pencil sweating." I'm like, "Damon, the homework was assigned Monday, right?" He nods. "So here's what happened yesterday. It's a lot, just hold on." He begins pacing like a detective in a crime documentary. "So my grandma brings home this iguana from the cult meeting. Huge, like dinosaur huge. She says we have to bond with the creature because apparently it's spiritually connected to our inner cold-blooded truth. The class is now invested on a spiritual level." Damon continues, "But we didn't know this iguana had beef with cats, and our cat, Mr. Peanut Butter, decided that was the day to establish dominance." A few kids gasp because middle schoolers believe wholeheartedly in cat versus iguana death matches. So basically, Damon says, "I walk into the living room and it's like National Geographic, but with more screaming. My grandma's chanting the iguana is trying to escape enlightenment. My cat is throwing paws like he trained in a back alley, and I'm trying to get my Chromebook so I can do my homework. At this point, I have genuinely forgotten I'm the teacher. I'm just another student waiting for the episode to continue." Damon spreads his hands dramatically. Then the iguana jumps onto the bookshelf. It knocks over my Chromebook, breaks it like screen cracked dead forever. "Why was your Chromebook on a bookshelf?" I ask stupidly, like any logic still applies here. "Oh, my grandma put it there during the ritual to let it absorb wisdom." "Of course she did." He keeps going, "So the iguana lands on the floor, right? But grandma thinks this is a sign. She starts yelling, 'The scaled mother rejects technology,' and she grabs the Chromebook pieces and throws them in the trash." 27. 12-year-olds whisper, "Bro," in perfect synchronization. And then, Damon says, lowering his voice to a dramatic whisper, "The iguana escapes." "What do you mean, escapes?" A girl in the front row screams like this is a horror movie. "I mean escapes," he yells back. "It runs out the front door. Boom, gone into the world." Grandma freaks out and thinks this means she's been excommunicated from the reptile cult. So she starts shouting about how she must prove her devotion by performing a ritual, a loud one. "What kind of ritual?" someone asks. "I don't know." Damon says, "I didn't stick around. My mom dragged me to the car, and we spent the rest of the night searching the neighborhood for the iguana, while my grandma did whatever the hell she was doing inside, so I didn't do the homework." Silence again. And then Damon sits down, like he just presented his doctoral dissertation. I stare at him. The class stares at him. He opens a Takis bag and starts eating like nothing happened. I'm not proud of this. I did not ask a single follow-up question. I just said, "Okay, you're excused." Because honestly, if even 1% of that was true, that child had suffered enough.